RotoGrinders. Welcome to DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. Blenderhead, Blender HD, if you want to follow me on Twitter. And it's Mondays, and we don't got James McCool again. It's not Mondays with McCool today. Last week, James was in the process of moving. He's moving from Colorado to Clarksville, Tennessee, and he made it there. He made it there, but apparently in his new house, he currently doesn't have any electricity or internet or nothing, right? That's what you get from moving to Clarksville, Tennessee. It's not real human civilization there. Have you ever been there before? I don't know. There may be people that are, I'm from Clarksville, Tennessee. What are you talking about? I've been in Clarksville, Tennessee. That it's a place that time forgot. Okay, so I'm not surprised. Not surprised, but so James will not be with us here on Monday for today. Hopefully back by maybe down in Clarksville they'll invent electricity by next Monday. So maybe by then maybe they've made it. They may at least make it to the 20th century. So James can make it on the show next Monday. But no, won't be here today. But I got you guys in the chat. I'm going to need you guys. You need to hold a lot of the load today because, like, I didn't play yesterday. I was gone for the entire weekend, so I have no idea what happened. I mean, I watched the football games yesterday, so that's about all I know. And I need you to ask questions in the YouTube chat, the DFS strategy questions. Give me those thumbs ups here in the chat. It helps. It helps. I see you guys, right? All right, infamous Tuck, right? Max Coach, what were you doing here at 8:54 in the morning? Sweet action 6:30, 9:06 in the morning. What, forgot about the wrong time, I guess? I don't know. Good morning if you're still here. Daniel Hutchings asked if they have indoor plumbing in Clarksville, Tennessee. I wouldn't be shocked. I think the last time I was there, I had to poop in a bucket. I think I had to. I went to it was the horrible motel rooms. I think that's the main reason that I've a negative opinion of Clarksville, Tennessee. Clarksville, Tennessee has a very long running. I don't know if it anymore. One-nighter Tuesday night comedy show there. Okay, so if you've never, if you've worked as a road comic, as a stand-up comic in the Midwest or the South, whatever, and worked for a company called Comedy Zone. If you ever been to a place called the Comedy Zone, like they book a whole ton of places and one-nighter bar shows across the entire Midwest and the South. So they have their own clubs also, but they also have like little just one-off type of things. Clarksville, Tennessee is one of them. And it is known as you stay in the worst motel ever. And the show is in this it seems like a nightclub that's still in like 1972. Whatever. And then a lot of times you're in this big, like nightclub-ish type of place and there's only like 50 people there for the comedy show. It's not a very good gig, but it's buoyed by the fact that the motel is the worst. It's like you stay in a place where you're surprised there aren't bars on the windows. Okay. You go in and it's like there's a bed and like a stand for a TV and there's like no desk. There's no nightstands. There's no other furniture in there. It's industrial carpeting. There's like maybe a bar of soap in the bathroom. That's it. That's all you get. And the comforter or whatever on the bed is like 40 years old. So it's known, at least back when I was traveling around the country, that if you work for this place, that was like the worst motel because you got paid for, right? And it wasn't a very good gig to begin with. So like I've done that gig 3 times. And typically it's attached to other things. You don't just go down there for a Tuesday. It's like that. And then you go to somewhere else on Wednesday and then Thursday and then Friday, you go to different places. But that's typically the first stop on that like week-long run. And it's bad. So that is all my experience in Clarksville, Tennessee, from being there 3 times to do that gig. So maybe that's where my propensity for not liking the place comes from. But over the weekend, we got the Bengals, right? Dan Jennings, you're a huge Bengals fan. Can I get a who day? No, I'm not giving you a who day. I'm torn. I'm torn about the Super Bowl. I'd like to root for the Bengals, right? Like the underdog team, the team that won 4 games last year or something. I mean, that's what I'd like to root for. but I can't root for Cincinnati fans. I can't root for people in Cincinnati. I know probably Dan is probably from Cincinnati, right? It's like I don't want the Cincinnati fans can't get anything nice, right? I mean, I'm a fan of Louisville City, and back in the USL before they went to MLS, that was the big rivalry in the USL, Louisville versus Cincinnati, and we beat them more times than not. So we tend to be very Cincinnati fans. I don't mind the team, fine, the Bengals, do whatever that you want. I just don't want Cincinnati fans to be happy, right? So that's like what do I want, right? I'd like to see the Bengals win, but I don't want people in Cincinnati to have a good time. I don't want them to have a good time. So Dan, if you're from Cincinnati, okay, he lives 45 minutes outside of Cincinnati. So maybe you're better. I don't know. Just always, I never liked fans from Cincinnati. Daniel says they're only a 4-point dog. Yeah, because they're not a bad team. But before the season, if you told me the Bengals were in the Super Bowl, I'd say you're nuts, right? But it should be a good Super Bowl, right? Burrow versus Stafford. Yeah. I mean, obviously the games over the weekend. I mean, it seems like the playoff games. Now we got good football. 18 weeks of the season, you could barely find a game that was watchable. Then the playoffs, it's like everything is coming down to the last play of the game and overtimes, and obviously there's bad coaching decisions thrown in there as well. But they were actually worth watching. Wow, I came home yesterday and I watched the end of the Chiefs game, the Chiefs Bengals game, and then I put on the Rams 49ers game, and it's like, even though tons of commercials, all that type of stuff, I'm not a big fan of the island games in general, but it wasn't that bad. Wasn't that bad at all. Didn't play the showdowns or anything. I'll play the Super Bowl showdown. That's a big contest. What else is there to do on Sunday night for the Super Bowl? I'll play that. But we'll probably talk about it because that'll come like right before the NBA All-Star break, which will be off, right? So during the All-Star break, there'll be no pregame shows. What would we talk about? I don't know. I barely have anything to talk about today, right? Because I didn't play NBA yesterday. Didn't play the showdowns yesterday. Today we got an 8-game slate. At least look at all these games. We don't have any late games, right? Is this right? We got 7, 7, 7, 7:30, 7:30, 7:30, 8, and 8. So that's good. Oh, that's good. My night could be over at 8:00. See, these are the nights I want to play. Right? Not much. I mean, yeah, this could be chaos, obviously. Right? What are the starting lineups? Is someone going to be scratched in some 8:00 game or something? But at least there's no I got to stick around till 10:00 to see what happens with the Clippers or something. Right? No. We got all these games at the good time. No, okay. Tonight's going to be a good time to play. A good time to play. I think even Daniel, Nerdy Tenor, will be like, oh, maybe I don't play the night slate. Maybe I actually play the main slate because it's really just an hour difference between the first game and the last game. Right? That's what he says in there. I'm in heaven. All games start within 1 hour. Beautiful. Let's do this every night. Perfectly fine. Matt Mears is here. Good morning. Hit that thumbs up button. The chat is going to have to. This is going to be a very short show if the chat doesn't have anything to say. Okay, so feel it. Bang your head against the keyboard. There's nothing for me to review today. What can we really do on an NBA slate at 11:00 in the morning? I mean, obviously, SGA is out until past the All-Star break, so that's why I assumed that some of these OKC guys would show up decently in projections. We got Norman Powell's back. Sabonis is back, right? Back. I mean, has he been back? I mean, I don't know. Maybe recently back. There's no standout. Like you got to play. Like Josh Giddey isn't like a must play today or anything. Like these salary adjusted values, plus minuses are not like okay, 2.86. Like it's not a jamming in. As of right now, there wouldn't be anyone in my player pool right here that I'd be like, I need to get like 70, 80% of them. Right? Let's look by position. So what are the strongest positions? Okay, point guard is pretty strong in relation to other positions. So so point guard is fairly strong. Shooting guard, similarly, right? We got a little bit less. Okay, shooting guard, small forward typically is weak. Yeah, we got like 4 options, I guess. power forward. I mean, yeah, it's across the board, not the greatest. We got centers to play. But like we take small forward, like there's really only four, or as of right now, there's only like four guys that stand out. So I could see, based on positional scarcity, like someone like Lou Dort being overowned, or Powell being overowned, because people will fill. It's like, oh, there's not many choices to fill the shooting guard small forward position, right? If we go here, well, you got Giddey there now, and you got Trey Mann, you got McCollum in the shooting guard spot, so maybe it's more like small forward. So you got Wiggins, who's an all-star starter, which I don't know. I haven't been watching the games. Should he be an all-star starter? I don't know. When they announced the starters, I'm like, Andrew Wiggins. How bad is the West this year? But taking a look, like if what a lot of times ends up happening is, even though these projected values aren't that dramatic, like the difference between Lou Dort at 6,000 and like Chris Duarte at 5,000 is 3.5 points, right? Or RJ Barrett to Norman Powell, like similar price, or OG, like 3 points, 4 points. But it's quite possible because, these guys are 3 or 4 points higher projected. Then instead of coming in at like 28% ownership, they come in at 40% ownership at a scarcer position. So it's like, oh, I have a lot of ways to get different in all these other spots, but not many at like shooting guard, small forward, or small forward-ish. So a lot of the field ends up getting condensed in those spots. So if you're willing to sacrifice like 3.5 points, play OG or Barrett or Duarte or even Barnes, I guess. I mean, as of right now, like I say this every day. It's what, 11:15 in the morning? All of this could change. As of right now, it's like, yeah, Dort, especially with SGA out, people will focus on those OKC guys against Portland, especially. So I can see Lou Dort being not 28% owned, be 40% owned. Should he be 40% owned? No, probably not. Otto Porter is out. Oh, he's resting. Is that going to change that much? Is that going to give us Warriors guys? Well, what's going to happen? Is Bielitsa? Bielitsa's questionable now. Is that going to help him? We'll see. Did we already have Porter out in the? No, we already had Porter. Okay, our projections already have Porter out. Right. So you have Bielitsa up there. Okay, 22 minutes, 3,400. Maybe he's the play. Oh, let's see. Candace Williams, for NBA single entry GPPs, how many contrarian spots would you recommend? If you watch this show often, Candace, I would suggest watching a lot of previous shows. Obviously, joining RotoGrinders if you'd like. Click on the link in the description. Get $10 off your first month. It's about building lineups, not picking players. So how many contrarian spots? It's about the overall ownership of your lineup in general compared to the field size. Okay, so it's not even single entry GPP. It's how, like, there's some single entries that are 5,000 people, 5,000 entries. Some are 200. There's a big difference between them. The smaller the field, the less contrarian you need to be, right? Because you don't need to, get all the 1% owned guys right and score 700 points or anything. But also in single entry small field GPPs, the ownership is also different than the large field stuff. So a lot of times the chalk is chalkier. So you actually gain more leverage sometimes by playing the over-owned guys are even more over-owned, and the under-owned guys are even more under-owned. So like in a slate like today, like let's as an example, Lou Dort, like I said before. And let's say he's 28%. Let's just say he's 28% in the large field. Maybe in that single entry GPP that you're playing, he's 42% owned. And because he's 42% owned, that means there are other guys that are 8%, that in the large field are 8% owned, and in the small field are 2% owned. So you have to condition the ownership that you're going for in your full lineup based on what you think the ownership will be in the actual contest that you're playing. And then you gauge your lineup based on that. So it's not about number of contrarian spots. You could have 5. How contrarian? We're talking about like 1% owned guys. Not many. You don't even need any. But like on today's slate, if we just ran the DraftKings optimal as of right now, as of 9:30 a.m., right? So if you can see here on the side of the screen, like our top projected lineup right now, 273.8 median. This is median projections. Has a total lineup ownership of 218.25. So like double up. That would be the level that you play in like double ups. Okay? So individually, you have like all these guys have all this ownership here. 32, 29, 23, 19, 23. Like you could be contrarian by like guys that are even like less owned, but I mean not 1% owned or anything. How many? There's no how many. It's just like, let's say here's 218, 230, 273. Let's say we were to build. I'm just gonna build 10 lineups to make it quick. Okay. And let's say we want the max to be 200. So instead of 218, maybe we want the max to be 180. Right? So let's build 10 lineups. The max of 180. Okay. So here's a lineup that's 269.41. Right. So if we take a look, this optimal is 273.8. This first lineup right here is 269.4. So that's about what? 4.5 points lower. But it's also about 40 percentage points lower in ownership. Where it's lower in ownership, that's not, you're building lineups. The question that you posed is more build on players. Don't think in terms of players, think in terms of lineups. So you see here, you go Van Vliet, Mann, Dort, Sabonis, Hartenstein, Simons, Bielitsa, Nurkic. But let's take a look at this lineup right below it. Right? This gives up actually less. You get less ownership. Let's remove that. Let's see if we find, okay, here's one a little bit lower. So here's a lineup 268.82. So compared to this optimal, about 5 points below. And 172.93 in total ownership. This is 218.25 in total ownership. So this lineup would be good. You're sacrificing about 5 points to gain about 40 percentage points in ownership, which may be on the slate today about maybe the right range you're looking for in single entry, maybe small, medium-sized GPPs. And this lineup down here has Tyrese Maxey and Giddey, right? Oh, well, Giddey's the most chalkiest player on the slate. Shouldn't I be fading him? No, it depends on the lineup that he's in, right? So any of these lineups that we have right here that we built, the first 10, are probably pretty good, assuming that the numbers are correct, right? I mean, like I said, it's 11:20 in the morning. Right, here's Rajon Rondo. Here's a 5% owned guy. Here's Isaiah Hartenstein in here. Doesn't mean you have to play Isaiah Hartenstein. But like any of these lineups would probably be fine, assuming that the projections are you're a decent model. Not worrying about negative correlation or anything like that. I'm just saying I'm trying to go over just the bare basic concept of your like how many contrarian spots to have. Like there's no number. You're building lineups. You're not choosing players, right? That's the mentality that you have to get out of to level up your DFS game. You're essentially playing a math game. Not playing a game where I think this guy will do well picking, players in sports. All these players have probabilities attached to them. A good projection model will take that into account. We'll give you that distribution curve of probabilities. And then your job is to put those numbers together in the best way possible that give you the highest expected value, or at least higher expected value than most lineups in the contest that you're playing for that size and that payout. Right? Because obviously there's a different types of lineups you'd build for a contest. 10,000 entries, winner take all. Dude, you want to be very contrarian there. Coming in second place gets you nothing. Then a contest that's 500 entries and it pays 10% the first. Very flat. So much of the equity is down in the payout structure that you don't need to add as much variance to your lineups. These are all math concepts. And you don't need to know calculus. You don't need to know anything. If you want to know more about those types of subjects, obviously watch the show every day. You could also get the Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports. How to think like a professional DFS player. It's a 15-hour audio DFS masterclass. You can pick up theoryofdfs.com. All that explanation I just gave for the past 5 minutes, it's a very condensed, I sped through that stuff. But if you want nice structured education, 15 hours of it. It's like you go into a seminar. Especially if you don't, why is the lineups not players? Not that you got to get the course. But that's the best explanation. It's not a bad question from a newer player. Sweet Action 630 can use some build tips for 150 lineups. Build one good lineup. That's the best tip. Build one. If you can't learn to build one good lineup and understand just like what I just went through for 5 minutes, weighing projection versus ownership, and this could be any sport, but that general concept of thinking in terms of lineups and not players, well, you got to do that first and build plus EV lineups. Build one of them, build two of them, build three, build five. Then you could build 20, build 20 by hand. And I'm talking about doing this by hand. And once you've done that for 6 months, a year, doing it by hand, then you could learn how to use a tool to be like, well, it would be more efficient because building 20 lineups by hand can take a while. Building 150 lineups by hand is going to take forever. How do I learn how to use a tool that will build the types of lineups that I would already hand build and do it efficiently for myself at scale? Where you'd look at all 150 lineups and go, yep, I'd build that lineup. Yep, I'd build that lineup. Yep, I'd build that you would build by hand. The tool like Lineup HQ or any optimizer isn't there to make decisions for you. All it is solving a math problem that you're putting in constraints for. It's not telling you what to do. So you should be using the tool as I already envision what I want to do, and I'm just getting this thing to do what I want it to do. So an optimizer is only as good as the person that's using it. Isaiah Roby has been ruled out. And Jeremiah Robinson Earl was assigned to the G League, and his status is uncertain. Exactly. Why should we know anything, right? When's that OKC game? Of course, it's an 8 o'clock game. Of course, it's the last game. Do we already have Roby in the projection? How much was he really playing anyway? Oh, he's out. He was not even in the projections. It doesn't even matter. Is Robinson Earl in the projections? Well, he is for 24 minutes. But Favors is able to play. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm seeing on Twitter. You'll know a lot more later, obviously. Nate Branchrow, for lower stakes GPPs, would it be plus EV to flip the construction and play 20 max that way? You're still talking about in terms of what do the lineups look like? What is their projection versus ownership? Sometimes flipping you'll see that the lineups that project well for their ownership, maybe it's because so many people are paying up here and paying down there, that's where the ownership is going. So when you flip it, you get a lineup that is 7 points lower projected, but 50 percentage points lower in ownership. You go, okay, that could be a good lineup. So compare the two. Dan Jan is I can't wait for MLB DFS. I mean, either. Right? You rarely get any of this stuff in MLB. If you've never played MLB DFS, it's not like NBA. Typically, you're waiting around till like maybe 3 or 4 o'clock Eastern for like lineups to start coming out, right? The batting orders. And you pretty much know what the pitchers are going to be. Occasionally, you get the teams that are like, I don't know, maybe a bullpen day. So this guy may be starting and may not be starting. Okay. So you get some of that. But then the lineups come out at like 4 o'clock. They start, and depending on the times, like 3 hours before game time. So then, yes, when there are like 9:40 or 10:10 games, sometimes you don't get that Dodgers or Angels or Mariners lineup until like 5 minutes before lock, but it's late swap. So, I mean, the projected lineup is there. And typically, 7 out of the 9 spots are good. Occasionally you see, oh, this guy that was batting 7th is now batting 2nd today or something. Get something like that. But that's the kind of like, that's the late swap. That's the late news. Right? Well, Chris Taylor's not in. It's going to be Lux at second base for the Dodgers. A lot of times you could late swap that. You could just global swap some of this stuff. So you're not dealing with 10 minutes before lock. God, major guy is out, and just might as well throw everything that you've ever done out. All the ownership is off now. All the everything just chaos. Do you think we get KBO if MLB Lux out? No, basketball will still be going on. Right? NBA is going to be going on through May. Right? What, the mid-April for the regular season, and then playoffs for God knows how long. Dave King, what's up? Love this show. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming. Hit that thumbs up button. MJC, why lineups not players for NBA, though? I get that more so with MLB and NFL. It's the same thing. It's the same concept. It applies to any sport. What is the total probabilistic projection of your lineup versus how many of those points that you get the rest of the field doesn't get in comparison, and then the payout structure of the contest. How big the field is. Because there obviously more combinations that could be out against you. That's it. It's the same thing. If you treat the game the same way for any sport, don't you notice that a lot of the top players, they seem to be good in all the sports? That's because they know everything about all the sports. Most of them don't know nothing. I don't watch NBA. I don't put on a game. I don't watch NBA at all. Baseball, maybe the first hour. I'll put MLB TV on. Bunch of games. While I'm swapping and stuff. NFL, I watch Red Zone. Okay, MMA, I pick fighters. I don't even know what they look like. It's all numbers based. When I started playing NBA, I know nothing. I didn't watch NBA since like 2002. You play the game like it's a math game, and there you go. You're done. Roberto Krupi, if I X out Embiid because he's not playing tonight, does RotoGrinders automatically update other plays? Well, if he actually is out, yeah. If you X him out of your player pool, it won't change any of the other projections. Right now, we have Embiid in. It's all based on the injury status, the injury report status. Embiid is not on the injury report, so he's currently in our projections. And all the other players on the 76ers are reflected that Embiid is in playing 33 minutes as a starter. If I X him out of my player pool, it's not going to change all the other Portland, the 76er players' outcomes until he's actually ruled out or is downgraded to doubtful. We treat doubtful as out in the projections. So no, it doesn't happen automatically. Oh, if I take out Domantas Sabonis, all the Pacers projections change. No, that doesn't happen. DJ Dog 3K, what sport are we playing in spring if MLB doesn't play? There'll still be basketball. There'll still be NBA. Then there's always soccer. Not every day, but you can still play soccer, MMA, golf. There's stuff. Isn't the USFL is another football league or something? The spring football or something that'll last about 3 weeks and be done with. That'll be around maybe. Daniel Hutchins says the only DFS sport with lower stress than MLB is PGA. Yeah, absolutely. You can play PGAs. There's no correlations. There's no. I mean, correlate if you want to do tee times. There's some weather issues, but most of the time it's like it's 6 golfers just. But I think it's the most efficient. PGA I think has the most efficient ownership in all of DFS. From the last time I've checked, the last time I've run, analysis. Let's go back and take a look at 5 years worth of contests for DFS, and then you find out that the highest R for fantasy points is ownership, and you go, okay, then there ain't that much edge then in the long run. Let's see. Embiid just got ruled out a few minutes ago. Oh, okay. So, did he? Oh, okay, now I see. Keith Pompey on Sixers. No, okay. The RG alert even came in. Yeah, because obviously my alerts are off. So, yes. So, Embiid, our projections team will update the projections. That's why we have timestamps here. Now it's only 11:30 in the morning, so it's not as quick as it would be at 6 o'clock at night. So behind the scenes, we have a Slack. For our projections team, there's like 6 or 7 of them. They argue like all day. Changing projections, changing minutes, is the rotation going to be this? Is that going to be that? And they update it numerous times throughout the day. That's why I always highlight here in the morning, at 11 o'clock in the morning, what the hell do we know? So like if I refresh this, right, you'll see the timestamp from before was 9:39. And it's still 9:39. So anything that happened after 9:39 a.m. Eastern is not reflected in the projections. So I'm assuming at some point within the next maybe hour, they'll update the 76ers with Embiid out. So you got Drummond, right? What's Drummond's price now? Philadelphia. Yeah, Drummond's 3,700. Yeah. Yeah, he may be the one today where it's just plug him in and don't worry about it. Right, 3,700. Yeah. I think he's going to be quite popular. I think he's going to be like 80% owned, and he probably should be 99% owned. Yeah, that's going to happen at that price. But yeah, you'll see the projections update. The closer it is to lock, the quicker the updates are. So obviously, we don't have 6 people just like wake up at 11 in the morning and we have to change the projections immediately. But if this situation happened at let's say 6:20 p.m., they'd take out Embiid and make all the changes that they'd be there. So within maybe 5 minutes, about 5 minutes, the projections would update, and you'll see the timestamp change. You can always judge it by the timestamp, right? We have the timestamp for fantasy points and a timestamp for ownership as well, right? Because you have to update the projections for the players first, and then we have to run our entire system for the ownership after that. And that takes a little bit longer. So updating projections is typically a 5-minute process. Updating ownership is like a 15-minute process. But like the question before, it doesn't automatically, if I X out a guy, it doesn't change everyone else's projections. No, it's all static based on our entire projection grid that we update. I say we, that our projections team update. I don't have anything to do with it. NASCAR DFS is around the corner also. Yeah, well, with Stevie, you get the NASCAR package here at RotoGrinders. I've never played NASCAR DFS, but apparently everyone speaks volumes, speaks very high praise for Stevie's RotoGrinders NASCAR package, and he's in the pits and stuff. Talk about someone that knows the sport. A lot of times he's I think half the time he's at the events. I think it's going to be at Daytona, but not at Daytona. Hey, I'm kept waving a flag. It's like literally like where the cars are, not on the racetrack, obviously, but in the pits or whatever. He has like some VIP media pass or something. I don't know. And he talks to the drivers, and I don't know what he does. A lot of times he's breaking information before any of the than the sports reporters are. Or maybe he's maybe looking for stuff that's more relevant for betting and DFS purposes. I have no idea. I've never played NASCAR before. I don't care about NASCAR. I don't watch NASCAR. I think that may be the most boring sport. Just watch cars go around for 3 hours. Wow. Infamous Tuck says the update just happened at 11:35. Okay, so let's take a look. Right, so you update, you refresh. Oh, 11:35. There we go. Right? Yeah, there we go. There we go. Andre Drummond. Only a salary adjusted plus 14.51. Yeah. That's not the play. And he's not going to be 5% owned. Like I said before, look at the projection update, 10:25 a.m. It hasn't been updated yet. Right. That projection is going to put a 7 on the beginning of it, or an 8 even. Yeah. Even at 30 minutes, and that may be conservative. Right. Oh yeah, it's gonna be play all the Sixers day. Seth Curry, Toby Harris, Maxey. Right, like in comparison, like to everyone in the player pool, like the top ones, Philly. 4 to the top 5 are all Philly players. But that's what happens when the highest usage player on the team. And Embiid in the past 4 weeks, his usage has been nuts. I mean, he has had some games where he's had 45% usage. So it has to go somewhere. So yes. So you're probably playing I ran the optimal. Now the optimal is 293. Right? Don't worry about the ownership because we didn't update the ownership. But let's see, we got Maxey, Curry, Harris, Drummond. Yeah, 4 Sixers. And then OKC as well, right? Dort, Mann, Giddey, Sabonis. I don't know if Trey Mann is a necessary piece, but we'll see. Yeah, it's gonna be Sixers OKC day as of right now. Who knows? Right, we got Toronto. Maybe everyone sits on Toronto, like I remember last week happened. Do we get New Orleans? We got New Orleans. We don't know what's gonna happen with New Orleans, right? Don't they have a million players questionable? Right? Ingram, Joe Val, Hart. We don't know what's going to happen there. Where's Hernan Gomez? Jackson Hayes. Right? We don't know what's going to happen with them. At least that game's at 7 o'clock. Okay. Anything else in the YouTube chat before we get out of here? See, stuff happens. We had some new stuff happen in the middle of our show. Didn't even have to wait. This is the reason. If you tuned in at 11 a.m., none of this Embiid would have still been in. Right? We've been talking about, do we play any 76ers? And now and something like this is going to happen 3 hours from now, and then 3 hours from that. That's why you watch Crunch Time. That's why you watch Grinders Live. That's why you hit the notification bell, right? Subscribe if you're new. Hit the like button, obviously. Help us out. Hit the notification bell at 5 o'clock, 5:10 p.m. Eastern. Got Grinders Live. So it's an hour. They'll cover all the current NBA slate. But obviously it's 6 hours from now or so. All of that type of information will be closer to be in. Stuff happens while the show is going on. Then after that, we have a premium show called Crunch Time. That's only for premium members. There's anything that happens late breaking, whatever, we update projections. We go through. Do you play this? Do you do this? Really fast-paced stuff. That's the point of being a RotoGrinders premium member. Click on the link in the description, get $10 off your first month. I'm in there. I'm in the Discord. You get Discord access. I have a channel in there, Blender's Game Theory. If you want to ask DFS strategy questions, game theory questions, you could always post them in there. I answer. Sometimes I get into 4-hour-long conversations and teach people stuff. We also do private group coaching, Zoom calls about once a week. All the benefits of being a RotoGrinders premium member. And if any of the explanations from before, you like lineups, not players, projections, ownership, all that type of stuff. If that's new to you, get the Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports. It's my 15-hour audio course. It applies to any sport. Game objectives, player selection, expected value, leverage, correlation, construction, risk management, exploits, psychology. Everything that you'll need to dominate any sport, conceptually. Then you put in plus EV lineups and you hope you live long enough. You don't go broke before you win a lot of money. That's DFS. That's GPPs. That's what it is. So learn the math of DFS, the mathematical concepts of playing DFS strategically. Theoryofdfs.com. And I'll be back on. I'll be back on tomorrow morning. Right? We'll go over it. We'll go over and review the slate that's going to happen tonight, and then take a look at the slate and keep on going. Review, and then try to implement the things that you learn, the game theory concepts you learn over and over and over again, and then that turns into profit over the long run. That's what we do here. Help you think like a professional DFS player. Go to theoryofdfs.com. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out the door, and I will see you tomorrow answering your DFS strategy questions, as always, on the DFS pregame show on RotoGrinders.com.